I don't know if that helps much, but in a way it is true, because you have to push down hard enough to make the violin, to make the string ring enough for the fiddle to vibrate sufficiently. So you can't play timidly. That's one thing I work with someone who's playing. I don't want them to play timidly. I want you to play, you have to play aggressively all the time. And even on a so-called quiet tune, you still have to push down hard enough to get the tone of the fiddle to come out. And with real fiddle music, you know, since we're not playing violin concertos, you want a little bow sound. You want a little bit, not this, but I'm not talking about the snow and the, you know, feet in the snow bow sound, but the little percussive, you know, the. You know, where you can hear the front end of the attack as a little. You know, you ought to really punch it a little bit if you want it to sound out. And then beyond that, you also have to push down hard enough to make the bow not move around. One thing someone taught me after I've been playing for years and years is that, and I had this problem with what's called nervous bow, like on a waltz, you know, when you're playing, you know, a long held note. If you go to a violin shop sometime and just say, hey, I want to try out a half a dozen bows or whatever, you'll find there's some bows that are, I don't know whether it's the harmonics of the weight of the bow and how much tension is in them, but some bows won't lay down. They just sit there and want to go, yeah, 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 like that. As you're playing, you'll see it. And there's no way, to me, you can ever make that bow have a long-held note sound good. You know? So that's kind of the only equipment item advice I can offer, is that you stay away from these nervous bows, because some people have them they don't realize, and you can fight with them for years trying and think, oh, I just don't have good technique, when in fact it's the stupid bow that just is, either it's too flexible or something. And I play with a very heavy bow. Some people were playing with my bow the other day and telling me how heavy it is. So it's a pretty well weighted bow. And beyond that, I just recommend to play a lot of slow stuff, because you're noting the quality of your tone is going to show up more in a waltz or even just a hoedown, you know, played slowly, because you've got to sustain the note. And if you can't sustain the note while playing it slowly, you won't have a good note when you're playing fast. There's no way, because you want a big round note, you know, even if you're playing a fast tune, you know. You want every note, even those fast notes, to be big and round, you know, you don't want them to sound thin and thready. But if you can't play them big and round slow, you'll never be able to make them sound big and round while you're playing.
Charlie, talk a bit about the different ways of holding the bow and what sound that produces.
Well, you know what? I really only hold the bow one way. So, yeah, some guys, you know, might hold the bow up here or whatnot. But with the guys I learned from, we used the whole bow to play. You know, we didn't just play, you know, where you're just using this part of the bow. You know, and I never liked playing down the chest, because you can't play in the upper register well if you're playing down the chest. It may suit some styles of fiddling, don't get me wrong, but for the style I play, I want to be able to hold the instrument up high and take good stock of producing a good tone and using the whole bow. So I just think there's an advantage to doing that, to holding the fiddle upright, because you can't play, you know, so easily. You can't get up, you know, some tune. You can't do something like that if you're holding the fiddle down here on your chest. You just won't be able to produce the sound. You might be able to make the notes come out, but to me it won't sound as good. And it certainly won't be as easy. You'll be fighting against the position. And so I hold the bow down here, you know. There's a lot of ways to grip the bow. Don't know much about them from an academic standpoint. I just found what works for me. But I like to hold it down the end and use the whole bow, because you get different effects. You know, if you want to play, you know, staccato, you play down closer to the frog. If you want to play something smoother, you use the middle of the bow. One thing I have found useful with some students is to take some white tape and divide the bow into 3 sections with some white tape, and then play everything you know with the different, only restricting yourself, like play every tune you know with this part of the bow. And that'll give you a feel for what it's like to play by the frog. Okay, and then play everything you know out by the tip, you know, and force yourself to not go into these other regions of the bow, and to give you facility in playing the bow in those areas. You know, it won't be that Then when you go to play a tune without those tapes on there, you'll find yourself using the whole bow, and when you come to a place that requires you to force through and play fast, you might find yourself closer to the frog where you're really chumping away on the thing, and then you want to play something smooth and passage, you might use this part of the bow here. So it works to do that.
Charlie, when you're playing syncopate, da 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 da, do you actually use up the bow? I mean, some of you da da da, you actually use it to get really quick syncopation.
I tend to change directions. I think
Okay.
to do that. Yeah, some people might just do something where they're going all in one direction. But
Yeah.
I tend to get here and get.
So you do.
I tend to play this part of the.
So you get the syncopated note with the increased speed of the bow rather than using it up.
That's hard to say.
Da 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 da.
That's a little hard. I don't know what the answer to that would be.
And how taut should the bow be? How taut should you?
Oh well, that's a subject. Probably not so taut that. But sometimes I ride the stick if I'm playing really hard because I don't want it so tight that you're taking all the flex out of the bow, and then it's so stiff, then it'll bounce. You know, so you got to find the sweet place between. And you want the hair to deform a little bit across the string. You know, like actually kind of bend across, because that's how you get that grab. You know, I mean, it's not perceptible. You can't see it doing it, but you're definitely deforming the hair a little bit as you grab. That makes it pull the string a little harder and makes it sound out a little better. How are we doing on time here? What we got? Oh, we're doing fabulously. See you later.